Hey, Kim. So what do people want to talk about? I'm really excited about Liberty Fest. I mean, this is something we've been talking about, but I really think that this model, I guess it figures that it's in New York, that where you have the critical mass that makes it capable or possible that you are seeing like a different kind of liberty event, and I think it's exciting to see that it's more living up to the message than the well, we're gonna have a free event, and we're gonna have great speakers, and you should come and talk to them. Otherwise, you're bad. To be able to say like, no, this is gonna be awesome, and you're gonna pay us and get a ticket to this event. Like, that's huge. And I think how that changes the connection with the mainstream as well is gonna see our movement taking things to the next level. And it's nice to see that it's starting in New York. I suppose kind of predictable, but also because you have great organizers like Gigi and Ian who are getting behind events like this, and Tracy, who we had on the podcast today as our guest. So we're doing live interviews every day, 5 days a week. Could we talk about the encroachment of RFID into our lives? Yeah, that's I here's the thing. I'm actually a big champion of technology. It's just that it's it's scary when it's in the wrong hands. And I think if you can see the technology getting past that. Like there was a story when a TSA agent stole an iPad, and it was an iPad that had been placed there as bait by a local ABC network. I think this was in Florida. Yeah, and they traced it. They had a tracking device on the iPad, and they traced it to someone's house, to the TSA agent's house, and they caught him. And it's like they're using like the cutting edge technology to fuck with us, but in a way we can take them down with tracking technology on an iPad. It's funny to say, as intense as that is, it's like that's kind of a few years old. It's not exactly cutting edge anymore. But anyways, well, there was a good question up here. I'll go back a minute. If I missed something, feel free to repeat stuff in the chat. Anyone want to talk about how we are going to ignore the debate tomorrow? No, you don't have to ignore the debate. You don't have to be the only guy who didn't see the debate who doesn't care about politics. No, you can watch it with the Adam versus the Man crew. We're doing a live stream. It's Mystery Science Theater 3000 style. We did this for the presidential debate, and it was a blast. We had so much fun. So we're going to be doing the vice presidential debate tomorrow night. It starts at 9. We're going to be doing it at 8:30 on ustream.tv/user/Adam versus the Man, or you can just go to adamversustheman.com and get to it through there. So really looking forward to that. And I mean, this is great. I love being able to do live chats like this with a different crowd that Ian's able to bring in. But when we have the whole crew in here and everybody's chiming in and taking shots, like I said, well, the presidential debate was really fun. But Biden and Ryan, they're going to make for some pretty good foils as well. Mark Dice versus Tila Tequila. I don't get into shit like that. I mean, Mark Dice having a serious criticism of Alex Jones, like, and I made it clear I love Alex Jones. I have my criticisms as well, but I pay him a lot of respect, and to see that Mark had a serious criticism, I think it was worth hearing. But when he's getting into it with Tila Tequila, like, yeah, I don't really good for him. I don't really need to get into that shit. It's not as interesting to me. But what do you think of homeschooling? Is it good for children? It's like the question shouldn't be is homeschooling good for children, but are government-run schools bad for children? And I think that question kind of answers itself. So, do I support transhumanism? I'm not really familiar with the word, but I think people, from what I've heard of, I should look it up. I really should just. You know what? I'll look it up right now because I have not accurately considered the label of transhumanism, but I know what it's talking about, the possibility and desirability of fundamentally transforming the human condition by developing and making widely available technologies to eliminate aging and greatly enhance human intellectual, physical, and psychological capacities. So yeah, absolutely, I'm all for it. And like I was saying, I don't think that technology is bad. I don't, any, like you say, RFID chips. It's not that RFID chips are bad. It's how we're employing them, and the fact is that, and I don't, now I'm using we in a bad collectivist sense because I mean like as a society, but how the government is using them, and that's definitely a problem. So yeah. Yeah, Adam made a good point with drones. What if pizza companies had them? Let me share my crazy idea about what we're going to have with drones when we get to this point in technology. Because think about these two technologies that are coming, right? The drones for civilian usage, and already the technology's here. It's just about getting the government out of the way and having better navigation and battery and range and stuff like that and programming. But like that's already here. I mean, I saw that on FPS Russia on YouTube. The guy that puts on the Russian accent and plays with the guns and stuff. It's a fun channel. He was doing a drone like himself with a fucking machine gun on it, And Derek Freeman is here, and he was telling me that I think it was Bowen, New Hampshire, had a drone that he was using. And my immediate fantasy for drone technology is that we're going to get, somehow people are going to get the approval from government to have drones following police officers. And I think at some point that's going to become automatic, but at least we'll have that perfect measure of accountability. So so take that, but then also, how much infrastructure technology has been held back by government holding a monopoly on the roads and all the different interferences with the market and corporatism and the auto industry. And in that sense, I think we're going to have a technology that just totally leapfrogs this idea of cars for a lot of things. And imagine if we had drone taxis. I think you'd be able to just pick people up, and at least in a city, the idea that running taxis the way we have them today on government-run roads is still going to be efficient is kind of silly. So, I mean, even not being so ambitious as that, and seeing to that almost science fictionist fantasy, just drones that we already have, the little ones that they're figuring out for construction copters, and we're going to have the ability to literally synthesize food from like with a 3D printer. So you're not going to, like, the idea of going to a restaurant, might just be totally transformed, because you would only go for the experience when you can push a button on your smartphone and a little taco copter comes and drops food into your hands out of the sky. Like, they've already been experimenting with it. Like, I didn't come up with the term taco copter. I've just been using it to have all these other, explorations and ridiculous intellectual exercises about where this is going. Roger Pion, tell us about your trip to Vermont. I did get to meet Roger Pion just very briefly. He was spooked by my camera in the door of his house, and I know it's a long video, but if you watch the interview I did, it's called Roger Pion Explained with I think her name is Tina. It's about 33 minutes. But if you care about the Roger Pion story and you're inspired by a guy who used a tractor to destroy 7 police cruisers, I mean, come on. Then I think it's worth the watch. And I really enjoyed shooting it. I really enjoyed doing that interview. It was just, you can see it was just me and her in a trailer with the camera. And you really understand that Roger Pion had mental health issues before he was being picked on by the cops, before he had his head slammed into the sidewalk, before being put through all of this trauma. And he really is, he's damaged, and he's in a rough place, like, understandably. And and I don't mean this really shouldn't be taken as anything disparaging about him, because they describe PTSD as a sane reaction to an insane situation. So in that sense, with Roger's humanity showing by having the courage to crush all those police cruisers, he is certainly, I think, having a healthy reaction, a sane reaction to an insane situation. Do I see the financial collapse as imminent? I think that's impossible to say, because, and I've said this before, the people that determine that kind of pull the strings and can decide. And I think they're going to keep the scams that they have going, and they're competing rackets, in multiple layers. I think they're going to keep them going as long as they can. And I'm not going to try to be an expert and see, how long they can do it. And who knows if you see a collapse of the dollar or the euro or the rial in Iran, if you're going to see some domino effect, or if it's going to go the other way and we're going to get a global fiat currency for a while. Did I see O'Reilly versus Stewart? Funny how close their views are. That's what I said, and that's why I wasn't going to watch it, because it's like they're arguing between flavors of statism. And I'm sure it was entertaining and funny, but I don't want to, like, promote that conversation. Because it really is, a product of the establishment. And it's not to say that they're not genuine, the people in the media are more products of the selection process. And they really are, that debate in and of itself emphasizes that distracting left-right paradigm. And I don't want to talk about it more than I have to, but yeah, funny how close their views are. Figures. All right, now I need to catch up with the chat. You don't send a rabbit to a donkey school to learn how to be a rabbit. Homeschool rocks. That's a good point. Technology isn't the problem. Coercion's the problem. Thank you. Yes. Allergies. I'm allergic to marijuana, obviously. The drone that was CGI. What? Was that CGI in the FPS Russia video? Did I fall for it? That would be hilarious. I'm pretty sure it wasn't. What drone are you referring to that was CGI? Whoa, wait a second. Amir Rothschild? That's a good way to sign in to say this. A group of friends in Brooklyn, New York were just questioned. One was handcuffed for discussing drones and Dunkin' Donuts. Love Derek J. Keep up the good work, indeed. There are now street signs in New York that say authorized drone strike zone. Tell me that's a joke. That's not real, is it? Taco delivery would be nice too. Yeah. Well, if we just got, this is one of those things. At some point, people are going to, people are going to demand government get out of the way because the technology is just too incredible, and they see how, eventually the technology will allow us to see that much more easily how government is holding us back from really implementing the technology that we already have and actually being able to apply it through the market for human happiness instead of to meet the needs of government. Adam, it was just suggested that I ask you something. Well, then ask it. Do you know about Zomia? No, I have no idea what Zomia is. Would you be willing to help bring me out the benefits of hemp oil on debilitating disease? Absolutely. If there's a story you'd like me to share or something in particular, just email it to me. We love taking story suggestions. And one of the things that I love about the being able to do a 2-hour live show every day is I get to talk about everything I want. Like I have time to get into everything, and we've been really enjoying that. So printing food, yes, printing food. Oh wow, I am really behind on the chat here. I am not seeing how it is scrolling down so fast. Adam, can you make a how-to video series on how to edit videos so fans can help out? You know what? That's a brilliant question. That's a great suggestion. And yes, we will make that happen. I don't want to make promises because we have a lot on our plate right now with getting into the new, expanded version of Adam versus the Man. But our intrepid newscast technical producer Rachel here is doing a wonderful job and is managing the video editor affiliate program, and at least is there to help coach people through that. But yeah, eventually we'll be able to do videos. Okay, I'm gonna skip down, or should I try to go through all of these? Let's see. Sharia law coming to New York City, Liberty Fest, New York City this Saturday, baby. Okay. Anyways. Funny when Stewart asked O'Reilly about Social Security, then admitted they're both socialists. Yeah, pretty much. Did O'Reilly admit he was socialist? That would be interesting. When do you really feel a civil war is going to start? It's not going to come to that. It's not going to come to that. It's there may be isolated pockets of violence, but I think in a large part because of our connectivity and the way that people are empowered by technology, I don't think that that you'll be able to convince people to kill in a civil war. Like maybe I'm being optimistic, but yeah. We need to do a trip to DC, girlfriend. Are you talking to me? Derek J. Freeman is there with you. Well, he's in the next room, and I don't know if he's doing something else, but he's staying pretty busy here. He's the editorial producer of the podcast or the newscast, and he really does an incredible amount of work putting those scripts together every day. And we're developing the writing team But I don't know if people want to hear all that behind the scenes stuff. Do you think these recent hacks on the White House could lead to internet shutdown? I don't think they're not trying to get a shutdown of the internet. Like I see that and I see what's happening and I see all the different encroachments. I think this is why it's important to talk about intellectual property being a scam, because it really is one of the underpinnings of the threats to the internet. When you can create this bullshit idea of intellectual property that is completely contradictory to real property, I think it's really important. But I don't think they're going to succeed in fundamentally shutting it down. We talked about this on the podcast. It was really interesting because there's hyperinflation starting in Iran, and there's some push. Some people are trying to go to Bitcoin, and it's blocked because of the embargo from the United States. But it's interesting to see that people are exploring this as an option in Iran to get out of the rial that they could convert to Bitcoin. So, and like even with the attempts of the internet being restricted there, I don't think it's going to last. I really have an incredible amount of hope for the internet, and not by any deliberate action, simply by the progress and the force of the market and of the empowerment of technology. Like in Egypt, they shut down the internet, and maybe it was just because we know what the internet is for, and when they shut it down, there were a lot of angry young men with way too much time on their hands, and in that sense, I think that, even without porn, I think people are too dependent on the internet and immersed in it and really living in it, that if for some reason the government shut it down, even if they came up with a legitimate sounding reason, I don't think it would work, because one way or another people would be like all of a sudden really paying attention to why it got shut down, and either way it would have to be considered a failure of the government. So people would be like all of a sudden really paying attention to government as the entity that was responsible for shutting down the internet. Even if they bought it, I don't think that it would. The internet is a Pandora's box. Do you feel hip-hop is one of the gigantic tools that the government uses to capture the mind of the young generation? And Nitro points out there's stuff already on YouTube for how to edit video. It's true. But, we can do custom ones that are specifically for our styles of video editing or for our material. But I don't know anything about government using hip-hop. I understand how hip-hop, as so many other elements of pop culture serve as distractions that the government has an interest in promoting, but I don't know anything about hip-hop in particular. Maybe I'm missing something. Have you ever looked into the gifting economy / sacred economy? Not by those terms, but I think I know what you're talking about. No, he didn't. Didn't what? Adam, how the hell can I get out of the army without fucking my entire future, man? Really, dude, conscientious objector status. That's there are other ways out, and if you can't get through that, if you got it, it's okay to lie when someone has a gun to your head, sorry, and that's the truth. And if you realize that being in the army is having a gun to your head that you're not comfortable with, and you have to tell them, I found Jesus, and I don't believe in war, and that's what you got to do to get out. Tell them, and make sure that you pass the psych screening. I think that's the safest way out. There are other ways. They're generally a lot harder. How do we pull our nation out of this fucking mess? I don't think we do. I think we elevate humanity and help it evolve through statism, past statism. I think we will make the state irrelevant. Exactly. Yeah, someone else said conscientious objector. Am I going to see Atlas 2 Shrugged on Atlas Shrugged 2 on Friday? No. I'm going to see it eventually, but I'm not going to pay to see it because I'm boycotting Hollywood. And as much as I appreciate a Hollywood production of a libertarian theme, but I loved Atlas Shrugged. I read it. I loved it. It had a big impact on me. In fact, I read it while I was running for Congress. I should have brought some water with me. But anyways, I'll see it when it's free. No, Jon Stewart stated that they're both socialists, so Riley didn't exactly agree on that. Makes sense. Zomia makes the state irrelevant. Well, then I guess unless you're talking about a nuclear holocaust, then I'm for Zomia. Atlas Shrugged will be great. Sucks they're different actors. What? They couldn't get the same actors from movie to movie? Oh man, then it's never gonna. You're never gonna have like. It's gonna be lame for Atlas Shrugged movie night when you're watching all three of them back to back. Because that's gonna happen. How crazy would I sound when I say that we can end economic problems and the need for money? I think you're always going to need, something as a medium of exchange. So maybe money as we know it becomes irrelevant already. If Bitcoin or something like that replaces the fiat currencies, that's obviously a huge leap. Chemical tests done on St. Louis, yes, and I'm waiting to get into that story a little more and report on it. It's definitely an important story. Hello, ladies. You know who you are. Are you gonna go see Gary Johnson speak? No, I'm working. I got stuff to do from the studio here. But we are planning on having him on as a guest sometime before the election. There are chicken riots in Iran. I hadn't heard of that, but I'm not surprised. Intellectual property hampers actual property rights. It is what will kill the market if it's allowed to continue. Well, it's not that it will kill the market. It's that it's one other government racket that's a continuous threat to the market. How can you trade without currency or some sort of? Well, it is possible hypothetically that you had like a universal barter system, but even then there'd have to be some sort of like system of measurement. But who knows? I mean, this is the thing about the internet and collaborative consumption and reputation currency that it all it's there's so many possibilities that you can't even like that right now. The technology is accelerating so fast, and all this is happening on exponential growth curves. But what we're able to see forward, how far we're able to see forward is also revolutionary and further than it's ever been in terms of the sheer amount of development that we can see coming. But when I mean, the fact that we can see from from the cars we have today to self-driving cars, whereas in the state of nature it was like seen from the the sharpened rock to the sharpened rock with a stick tied to it. So being able to see that far forward is really amazing. But in terms of how like the internet is going to change currency and valuation and trading and barter and all of these things that are based on communication is so radically altered. But also with just the profusion of wealth and the absurd quality of life that we're going to be able to enjoy, I mean, that's really going to change things too. Do you believe in the New World Order? How do you feel about the Rockefellers? You got to be more specific. Do I believe in the New World Order? Well, I know that George Bush mentioned it. I know that Gordon Brown mentioned it. I know that a lot of people have talked about it, but I don't think they mean the same thing. The New World Order, a lot of people have different things they're trying to impose, and I don't think the superclass is united in a singular New World Order, but there may be some group or individuals within the superclass that feel that what they're working towards is the New World Order. But I don't think there's anything particularly new about it. It's just the efforts to consolidate power that have been a part of the human experience for since I guess since we learned to raise crops, since we learned agriculture. Rockefellers run CFR Trilateral Commission. Yeah, I'm not a denier or any of that. I just I don't place. I think it's more important to focus on the dynamics by which those scams exist and how the superclass exists, rather than in a way that affects your life. It makes your life more enjoyable and helps you function better as a libertarian and opt out of statism and opt out of the New World Order by anybody's definition. Did you watch the video of the Israeli lobbyist speaking, "We need a false flag for Iran"? Yes, we covered that on the podcast. I was very happy to. Thank you. If you posted that, that's probably where we got it. The old cast was amazing. What is that? Oh, what are you referring to, Jesse James? There, for Atlas Shrugged. Yeah. I don't know. They were good. I didn't think I saw Atlas Shrugged, the first one. I mean, I'm not any movie buff or critic, and right now I'm totally boycotting Hollywood and only watching independent films or documentaries. But whatever. I don't have much time for that, anyways. Do I believe that the New World Order is real conspiracy? Well, I think I answered that, didn't I? I mean, already it's it's not that it's a real conspiracy, but it may be, but it doesn't matter. So yes, they're like, if it was a conspiracy, they wouldn't be saying it in public. So they're obviously talking about different things. When Gordon Brown talks about New World Order, and I think so, a lot of people will describe too much of a like specific thing that think that gives the impression that it's like a singular group within the superclass that is the conspiracy, and there may be, but there are other people using the term New World Order to mean totally different things. So Stefan Molyneux recently made a video encouraging college students to fight back against the state that enslaves them. My question, how? Well, being a conscious consumer, not engaging with the state, not paying taxes, rearranging your life to be more agorist. I think that's what Molyneux would advocate, I'm pretty sure. Raising your children nonviolently, of course, he would definitely say that. So anyways, I guess that's all my time for tonight. I'm just going to scroll down to the end of the chat, make sure I didn't miss anything really important, and then just say goodnight. So thank you all very much for joining us. Adam, any update on the crypto parties? No, but it's working. Am I going to apologize to Lou Rockwell? What, for disagreeing with him? I don't need to apologize. I don't have anything against him. In fact, we're going to try to have him on the show again. All right. Good night, everybody. Oh, as long as I'm still on, I missed a good one here. Who would be your top three ideal sponsors for your show? I don't know, but that's a really good question because we're moving that way. And we want businesses that we can, yeah, Fleshlight. Good answer. No, businesses that we can truly endorse, and agorist owned businesses as much as possible. So maybe marijuana muscle.